I am cooking with apples. If you haven't yet, maybe you need to go to a video previous to this because I made soups with apples, and I promised in that video I would make more recipes using apples. I have so many still, not just these 3. Today I want to take you through a really delicious stuffed chicken recipe where we use apples, of course, among other things. So let me take you step by step. We are going to start with the filling or stuffing first, and then we'll go from there. I've diced up my onions, apples, and celery and used a little bit of salt and pepper just for seasoning with a touch of butter to give this a little cook and soften it up. Once I've got it to the consistency that I want, a little bit of panko breadcrumbs goes in along with sharp cheddar cheese. Now I'm going to turn it way down low on my frying pan here just so that I can get the cheese to melt and everything come together. Once I'm done with that and it looks good, that is when I take it off the heat, and just for a little bit of extra flavor and aroma, some freshly chopped sage goes in there as well. Once your filling, stuffing, whatever you want to call it, is done, take it off of that heat and let it cool down while you work with your chicken. You don't want to put hot stuffing in your cold chicken. That's just gonna make temperatures go weird and wacko. So we want to let that cool down a little bit. And now I'm gonna show you how to cut a chicken so that you have a nice little pocket for the stuffing as carefully as possible. And then I'm gonna take you through the final step. So the easiest way that I do this is I just hold my chicken breast flat as if I was gonna butterfly it, but instead I start about an inch from the top and stop about an inch from the bottom, and I just make sure my knife does not go through the entire thing. That way I've got a nice little pocket. Once I've got all of my chicken breasts with pockets, I'm gonna lay out 2 pieces of prosciutto and put my chicken close to the front, give it a nice little opening, and put some of that stuffing in there. Now you can see I'm using my spoon to kind of push it down just so that it's nice and flat and it's going to be easier to work with. And let's just talk a little food safety here. You can see my spoon is touching the raw chicken and then going back into the stuffing. So just make sure you're going to use up all of the stuffing for this recipe. We don't want to contaminate anything or get ourselves sick. Then I just very carefully squish my chicken together at the top and pull that prosciutto gently as far as it will go over. It's not going to be perfect. It might rip a little bit because it is so thin, but that's okay. I've got a little tip for you here because 2 pieces is not enough. Look at that. It's barely holding together. So get another piece and then go the opposite way around just to make sure everything holds together before we go ahead and set them into a cookie sheet or some kind of a pan that you're happy with putting it into the oven. We want to make sure that there's at least a little bit of a lip there because we're going to get some juices cooking out throughout the process. 350 degrees for at least 30 minutes or so. You might need to go a little bit longer depending on the size of your chicken. Don't worry about wrapping that prosciutto perfectly around. It is going to be so thin that sometimes it's going to rip. So do your 2 first around and then just slap on the other ones to cover all the other bases and keep that stuffing in your chicken. It is going to look beautiful when it comes out of the oven. A wonderful combination of sweet, savory, and that beautiful saltiness on the outside of the chicken as well. You may have noticed I didn't season the chicken when we were going through this recipe because I just found that when I've done it before, it really didn't need it with that saltiness of the prosciutto around. If you want more salt or you want to season your chicken on the inside before wrapping it, you do you, but trial and error has taught me prosciutto is salty enough. Thank you so much for watching The Silly Kitchen. I hope you try a stuffed chicken with some cheese and apples and deliciousness in your near future.